Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, in the case of the people versus fats, in the court of public opinion, we are here today to present the case that our client, the macronutrient known as fat, has historically been unjustly slandered and vilified. It is our contention that fats are not as unhealthy as they have been portrayed, and in fact they are the best macronutrient. To see that fats have been historically misunderstood, we can start by looking at the name itself, fats. Of course the general public will quickly believe that fat makes you fat. Even for those of us in the nutrition field, it is difficult to undo the mental association of molecular fats and obesity, fat. This is a slanderous correlation that could be called unwarranted guilt by association. Two major studies in the mid to late 20th century provide the primary basis for the U.S. government's official stance that a low-fat diet reduces obesity and consequent risk of cardiovascular diseases, strokes, and cancer. The Framingham study in the 1950s and the work of Ansel Keys from the 50s through the 80s were the main sources of evidence for the recommendations. The U.S. government's Select Committee on Health and Human Needs put out the first official dietary goals in 1977, promoting increased carbohydrate intake and decreased fat, sugar, and salt. Of course, we know that carbohydrates break down into glucose, so an increase in carbs is an increase in molecular sugar. These recommendations were based on correlative studies. There were no studies at the time that proved a causal link between fats and the supposed associated risks. The correlations failed to take into account any other factors, like carbohydrate intake, the quality of the fats or other foods for that matter, or other lifestyle factors. The simplest observation was made. High fat makes you fat, and therefore increases associated disease risks. The answer? Lower your fat intake. These recommendations provided an incentive for food companies to start promoting healthy, low-fat versions of foods. This often led to an increase in added sugar and salt, resulting in many low-fat foods having the same amount of calories as their regular counterparts due to the increased sugar. Sugar in relatively small quantities prevents the burning of fat for energy because it is the preferred substrate for energy production. So replacing fat with sugar will not help you lose weight, but will only keep the fat in storage. To burn fat, you have to cut out the sugar to give your cells a reason to break down the triglycerides. Thus, the real culprit in weight gain and associated diseases is high sugar intake. This is what the correlative studies and low-fat recommendations fail to take into account. All of this and more can be found in the article cited below. Now, our first expert witness will give a brief overview of the macronutrient known as fat, and you will begin to see just how important fats are in keeping you healthy. The defense calls Gabby Borelli to the stand.
Fats provide energy for our body's metabolic system. Fats are the most energy-rich source for the body to use. 1 gram of fatty acids can generate 9 kilograms of energy. Using fat for energy keeps the body from breaking down proteins for fuel, which would keep proteins from performing their vital functions of building and repairing. Fats in the body are made up of 3 molecules joined together called a triglyceride. A triglyceride is an ester derived from 3 fatty acids and a glycerol. Most of the fats that we need are made in our bodies, but there are some fats our bodies cannot make. We can only get these fats by eating them. These fats are called essential fats because it is essential that we get them from food. Some examples of these are omega-3 and omega-6. There are 3 types of fats in the foods that we eat. Unsaturated, which come from plants, saturated, which come from animals, and trans fat, which we can get from processed or chemically induced foods. Fats and fatty acids are broken down into 2 groups, saturated and unsaturated. Unsaturated fats are monounsaturated or polyunsaturated, which are found in omega-3, omega-6, and omega-9 fatty acids. A fat is unsaturated when there is one or more double bonds. Monounsaturated contain one double bond. Polyunsaturated contain more than one double bonds. Some examples of unsaturated fats are almonds, avocados, salmon, and olive oil. Saturated fats are a medium-chain fatty acid and a short-chain fatty acid. Some examples of saturated fat are beef, lamb, pork, butter, lard, and cheese. Omega-3 fatty acids and omega-6 fatty acids are polyunsaturated fats. Omega-9 fatty acids are monounsaturated fats. Unsaturated fats are beneficial because they improve blood cholesterol levels and stabilize and ease inflammation. Polyunsaturated fats lower levels of LDL cholesterol. Omega-3 fats increase levels of HDL and lower triglycerides. DHA omega-3 is the most abundant long-chain fatty acid, which is commonly found in fish, flax seeds, walnuts, and soybeans. Omega-6 is commonly found in sun oil, corn oil, grapeseed oil, and poppy seed oil. Monounsaturated fats lower LDL cholesterol, increase levels of HDL cholesterol. Omega-6 fatty acids are commonly found in olive oil, olives, almonds, pecans, pumpkin seeds, and avocados. Saturated fats occur naturally in almost all fatty foods, specifically in meats, dairy, and coconut oil. Plant oils contain primarily saturated fats, but do not contain cholesterol. Saturated fats play a key role in cardiovascular health, strengthening bones, ensuring proper nerve signaling, and supports the immune system. Saturated fats also raise levels of LDL cholesterol. Naturally occurring trans fats are in foods that are made from animals, such as meat and dairy. These contain small traces of trans fats. Artificial trans fats are fatty acids that are found in fried foods, commercial baked goods, and processed foods, also in margarine. The American Heart Association recommends cutting back foods containing hydrogenated vegetable oils for reducing excess trans fats in diets. These type of trans fats, commonly seen in fast food like McDonald's, are typically very convenient for people and easily accessible. Trans fats, usually found in boxes in the grocery store or canned products, have a very long shelf life, once again making it very convenient for people. Using naturally occurring unhydrogenated vegetable oils is a great choice. These are commonly found in sunflower and olive oil. Fats are important for the formation of eicosanoids. They act as chemical messengers, especially in immune system and cardiovascular health. Fats are needed for production of phospholipids that make up cell membranes in all cells. Fats keep our skin and eyes healthy. Fats act as insulation to prevent us from heat loss. Fats protect our vital organs from the strain of movement. Fats act as the source and carrier for fat-soluble vitamins, such as vitamin A, D, E, and K. Fats are needed to carry these vitamins through the cell membrane and then into the cytosol. Cholesterol is a waxy, fatty-like substance found in all cells of the body. It is a chemical compound that the body requires as a building block for cell membranes, vitamin D, and for hormones like estrogen and testosterone. The liver produces about 80% of the body's cholesterol, and the rest come from dietary sources like meat, poultry, eggs, and dairy products. These foods are known for being low in saturated fats, but also rich in cholesterol. Any foods derived from plants contain no cholesterol. Cholesterol content in the bloodstream is regulated and stored by the liver. As the body requires cholesterol, it may be secreted by the liver. Cholesterol does not travel freely through the bloodstream. Instead, it is attached or carried by lipoproteins in the blood. There are 3 types of lipoproteins that are characterized based upon how much protein there is in relationship to the amount of cholesterol. Low-density lipoproteins, or LDL, contain a higher ratio of cholesterol to protein. High-density lipoproteins, or HDL, are made up of higher levels of protein and a lower level of cholesterol. Very low-density lipoproteins, or VLDL, contain even less protein than LDL. Very low-density lipoproteins, like LDL, have been associated with plaque deposits. When you have high cholesterol, you may develop fatty deposits in your blood vessels. Eventually, these deposits make it difficult for even blood to flow through your arteries. Your heart may not get as much oxygen-rich blood as it needs, which increases the risk for a heart attack. Decreased blood flow to the brain can even cause a stroke. The higher the HDL to LDL ratio, the better it is for the individual because such ratios can potentially be protective against heart attack, heart disease, stroke, and any artery diseases. Healthy lifestyle changes that can lower your cholesterol can help prevent you from having high cholesterol in the first place. To help prevent high cholesterol, you can quit smoking, exercise on most days of the week for at least 30 minutes, drink alcohol in moderation, if at all, lose extra pounds and maintain a healthy weight, limit the amount of animal fats and use good fats in moderation, eat a low-salt diet that includes many fruits, vegetables, and whole grains.